All right, so we're set up in the lathe. Got a mandrel that I built in here for a 52 millimeter cylinder. Got our cylinder that you can see now that we cut the skirt on. Our tail stop. I've got a dial indicator set up here if I could get out of the glare from the light. I've got a dial indicator set up here on my table because I am not real confident in how accurate the dials are on these handles. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get this tightened down really good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my magnets hooking to everything on my camera. Well, there you guys went away. Okay. I'm going to just barely bump the corner of my tool up against the cylinder. Just like so. So now, I don't know if you can't see that on camera because the light's terrible, but it's just barely bumped up against it. So what I'm going to do now, I'll back this table out. I don't really like that it's moving around, but anyways, I'm going to back that out. I'm going to get as close to this cylinder as I can get with my tooling. Right there. Okay. So now we're going to zero our dial indicator. I'm not good at this filming stuff, so you guys tell me if... So there right there we're zeroed. Okay. So now we want to take 30 thousandths off this cylinder. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. Each hash mark on this, we want to take off 10 thousandths. So there's 10 thousandths. Now what we're going to do, start our lathe. We'll run this in. We want to make sure we get in plenty far enough, which we got in way plenty far enough. Now, We're going to back this back out, and we're going to take another 10. So there we are, just barely out past our cylinder. So now we're going to take another 10. Oh, too much. You can see there we got about 24. We don't want, or 22. Okay. So that's 20. Our table keeps moving a little on us. You can see I can wiggle this table and get 3 or 4 thousandths pretty easy. Make sure. I'm going to set you guys up right here and let you watch the rest of this. Just like so. I want to make sure our tail stop is tight. It's kind of creaking around. So now what we're going to do, so we took 10, that's 20. Get this as close as we can. We're going to bump this, we're going to go to about 26. We're going to take 6 thousandths. Okay. Now we're going to finish out and take our last 4 thousandths as a finish pass. And that'll put us at 30. Okay, so now what I'm going to do while we've got this chucked up, I'm going to back this off and I'm going to run this in here And we're going to turn about 30 thousandths off this skirt so that we don't run into clearance issues. And I really should have chucked that up and taken that off before I ever did the port work and cut that skirt, but I didn't, so we suffered through it now. Okay, so now we can back our tailstop off. And get this cylinder out of here. And this is kind of a jerry-rigged deal that I've set up. It doesn't work the best, but it does work. There's what it looks like. We'll have to take, when we do our porting, we'll clean and deburr where it runs up into the transfers. And we should be good to go. Next stop, the piston. I'm gonna pause you guys, I'll get it set up and we'll go at it again. Okay, so we've got our machine work finished. I messed around and was having terrible trouble getting the piston chucked up in the lathe. I'm gonna have to make some pieces for that to work out just right. So I didn't get that filmed. It didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to. We did go ahead and take about 30 thousandths off the cylinder, and about 30 thousandths off the top of the piston. It was hard to get the piston exact with the setup that I had, and it kind of... You guys died on me. I don't remember where we were. It looks kind of crude. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup just with a little piece of sandpaper or emery cloth. But I think it will work. Let's see, I was gonna pull this back off. I did put it together and check squish. We ended up with a final squish of 21 thousandths before sealer. So that should be about perfect. Right where we want it. Show you, you can see where I machined the base of the cylinder, and there's what we ended up with on the piston. I will go ahead and pop this piston out, give you a better look at it. I'm not too proud of it, but we're gonna run it for now. I'll probably order another highway pop up and machine it to fit the cylinder a little better. But you can see, hopefully the camera's focusing, machined a big dome in it. It turned out decent for the scenario. I wished I would have got video of it because it started out as a disaster. But we are going to take on this piston, and where I've drawn these lines, I'm going to take some material out here on both sides, because this window is what feeds the transfer, so all the air has to move through the underside of this piston. So we'll do some pretty extensive port work to the piston, to the bottom side of this piston in certain places. So I need to finish port work on this cylinder, and get it all cleaned up, and then we will be ready for final assembly. So once I get that done, I'll show you guys. We'll do a final review over what it all looks like, why I did what I did, and we will that's where we'll end this video. The next one will be complete assembly from start to finish, from the way you see it now to a ready to run saw. And I'll try and get some video running this thing after it's put together. So I'm gonna get started on this port work, and I'll catch back up with you. Okay, here we are again. This will be final inspection before we assemble this saw. So I know this camera doesn't show all this very good. We did pretty extensive intake work, cutting. Let me find something better here. So we cut pretty good ears, I call them, on both sides of this intake on the roof. Now, if you look in the port here, I didn't touch the floor because I didn't want to add any duration to my intake. I only cut these ears up about as high as where the piston stops at top dead center. And you all saw what I did to these lower transfers. I did go back and smooth them out, just to make them look better for all purposes. But I also took, and on the upper transfer, I extended it towards the intake just to, maybe the width of this screwdriver. About 1/8 of an inch really is about it. And then as far as exhaust, I did try and polish out the exhaust as best as I could, and didn't touch the roof, didn't change timing. I just widened the port just a little bit and feathered it in. And that's about it on the cylinder. As far as the piston, you saw our big dome that we turned in it. You can see where I took material out here. Took material out here and here on both sides. And I also, down inside inside the piston, I feather in right in through here to try and get better airflow. Not necessarily more airflow, but just a smoother transition. It's kind of a sharp casting edge from the factory. So that about does it for this video. Stay tuned for the next one. We'll be assembling this. It should go pretty quick. So that'll be a lot shorter video than this one is. This one took more time than what I thought it was going to. So thanks for sticking with me, and we'll catch you on part 3.